The late-night hum of a small-town police station was broken by the sharp click of metal handcuffs. A decorated Black Army veteran sat silently in the back of a cruiser, her uniform still crisp from a ceremony she had attended only hours earlier. To the two officers who had arrested her, she wasn't a veteran or a hero, just another face they claimed looked suspicious. They didn't realize that their casual cruelty was being watched, and that within minutes the calm night would be torn apart by flashing lights and federal agents. Sergeant Maya Johnson had spent 15 years serving her country, including 3 combat deployments overseas. Known for her composure and dedication, she had returned home that evening to attend a local Veterans Appreciation Banquet. Her uniform still carried the dust of a battlefield and the gleam of commendations earned under fire. On her way home from the event, she stopped at a gas station on the edge of town. As she stepped out of her car, still wearing her service dress, she noticed 2 police cruisers parked nearby. At first, she thought nothing of it, until she caught the suspicious stares of the officers leaning against the vehicles. Moments later, the situation turned. A clerk inside had reported a suspicious black woman in uniform walking around the lot. The call was vague and unsubstantiated, but the officers approached her anyway. Maya tried to explain who she was, but the badge and stripes on her sleeve seemed invisible to them. Instead of recognition, she received curt orders and an accusing glare. In disbelief, she stood still as they searched her without probable cause. Passers-by slowed their cars, some holding up phones, recording quietly. When she questioned why she was being detained, one officer told her she was interfering with police business and placed her under arrest. As the cruiser drove her toward the station, Maya's thoughts swirled, not in anger, but in quiet shock. After years of defending the ideals of freedom and justice overseas, she found herself cuffed in her own hometown, treated as if she were a threat. Inside the station, the fluorescent lights cast a stark white glare over concrete walls and metal bars. Maya was guided into a holding cell, still calm, but visibly shaken. The officers made little effort to hide their dismissive smirks as they processed her paperwork. She sat on the bench, her gaze lowered. Around her, the station buzzed with casual conversation, as if detaining a decorated veteran without cause was routine. One of the officers chuckled and muttered something under his breath, a remark that made the other laugh. Outside the cell, the officers began to discuss what charges they could pin on her. None of their ideas held weight. Disorderly conduct, trespassing, loitering. Each suggestion sounded weaker than the last, but that didn't stop them. Word began to spread. A young man who had filmed the roadside arrest uploaded the video to social media. Within minutes, it started to circulate rapidly. Viewers were outraged, demanding accountability. Meanwhile, in a distant regional office, an FBI duty agent on night shift received a call. The caller was a retired Marine who had seen the live stream. His voice was steady but angry. They just arrested a war hero for being black. In her own hometown, the agent cross-checked the report and quickly realized Maya's name wasn't just that of an ordinary veteran. She had been a key intelligence liaison in overseas operations. Her wrongful arrest wasn't only an injustice, it was a potential violation of federal civil rights law. Back at the station, Maya's quiet composure began to unnerve the officers. She didn't yell or protest. She simply waited, as if she knew something they didn't. The hours felt stretched, though in truth only minutes passed. On social media, the hashtag #Justice for Sergeant Maya began trending. Journalists started tagging the police department's official account. Inside the holding cell, Maya remained still, her medals faintly catching the harsh light every time she shifted slightly. The officers outside her cell exchanged uneasy glances as calls began pouring into the station's front desk. And then, a low rumble of sirens approached, not from local units, but from unmarked black SUVs. The station doors swung open with a force that made everyone look up. A team of FBI agents stepped in, their jackets marked with the bold yellow letters that left no doubt about their authority. The lead agent, a tall woman with a clipped, steady voice, strode to the front desk and presented paperwork. Her words were sharp and clear. The officers had unlawfully detained a decorated veteran without probable cause and were now under federal investigation. For the first time that night, the mocking laughter faded from the station. The two arresting officers exchanged nervous glances as their supervisor demanded explanations that sounded hollow even to their own ears. The agents didn't waste time arguing. One moved to unlock the holding cell, addressing Maya with a respectful nod. "Ma'am, you're free to go. We're deeply sorry for what you've been through tonight." Maya rose slowly, not out of weakness, but with the quiet dignity that had carried her through war zones and loss. She didn't look at the officers who had mocked her. She didn't need to. Their silence spoke louder than any apology could. Cameras flashed outside the building as local reporters arrived, tipped off by social media posts. Viewers across the country would soon see the image of a soldier, still in her uniform, stepping out of a precinct flanked by federal agents. The two officers were taken aside for questioning. For them, the night had turned from routine to ruin in under 20 minutes. As the door to the station closed behind her, Maya inhaled the cool night air and paused for a moment. She had faced worse dangers overseas, but somehow this ordeal cut deeper. In the days that followed, the incident sparked a national conversation. News outlets replayed the footage of Maya's arrest alongside clips of her receiving military honors. Commentators debated the deep-seated biases that had led two officers to see a hero as a threat. The department issued an official apology and placed the officers on administrative leave pending investigation. Civil rights organizations praised the swift response of the federal agents, but cautioned that systemic change required more than a single intervention. Maya returned to her duties, quietly resuming her life. When asked by a reporter for a statement, she declined a long interview. Her only remark was, "I served so that everyone could be treated equally. That's all I ever wanted." Online, the hashtag that had first sounded like a protest became a rallying cry for reform. Community members organized forums, and local leaders pledged to review policies and training within the police force. For many who saw the story unfold, the image of Maya sitting in her uniform behind steel bars remained haunting, a reminder of how easily prejudice can override reason, even in the face of obvious service and sacrifice. As the attention gradually shifted to other headlines, one question lingered in the minds of those who had watched the events unfold in real time. If it could happen to someone who had risked everything for her country, how many others had endured similar injustices in silence? That question refused to fade, echoing in living rooms, town halls, and training academies, a call to action and a challenge to the idea that equality is merely a promise rather than a practiced reality.